fantastic to be chatting with you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just wrangling children and, doing the mom stuff and they're in sports and football practice and I'm in Texas. It's very like I feel like I'm in a movie half of the time with the way they are here with sports and school. It's very, and I live in the country, so it's like even weirder for me everyone's still kind of cliquey and went to high school together, and the jocks are still the jocks and the cheerleaders were still the cheerleaders. Now their kids are cheerleaders, and it's very strange.
But your kids have a
Always
movie
seems
Is
to
that
star
be.
mum. Your kids have a movie star mum, so
I was going to say, is it Varsity Blues style in this town where the
Yes.
quarterback of the local football team has a billboard like
Yes, like
dedicated
the
to them? And
schools literally shut down. My children's elementary school will shut down when the high schoolers have a big game that they're playing. It's
amazing.
crazy, and people get all dressed up like Friday nights or the games, and my kids are 6 and 8. Like they're playing flag football. They're not actually like really doing anything, and they play sharks and minnows, and the women get like done. They have their everything is like they're like going out on a Friday night, and I'm like I can't even fathom that would be like my Friday night out would be to wear the school colors and have my hair and makeup done, and it's a whole nother level over here,
so
guys.
it's fair to say you're not what we would call a soccer mum. Like you're not one of those. No.
No, no. If I had a daughter, she would play football. I can't imagine being there and being the cheerleader's mom. It's just not. Yeah, I'm glad I have boys. That's not my jam.
That's hilarious. Well, let's get down to some business here. We're here to talk
Yeah.
about Natty Knocks first and foremost.
Yes.
Talk about it like a full circle moment. Like you're working with Dwight Little again on a different
Yeah.
type of Halloween movie. Was it a no-brainer to jump into this one?
Oh yeah, I mean, he called me and was basically like, "I need a favor, help." He said, "I'm financing this movie myself, and I need you to do it, and I need you to work for free." I was like, "I got it, Dwight, no problem." And I've been wanting to work with him for a really long time, and he's exactly the same and lovely, and it was so interesting to for him and I, but really for him to be on set, I think. And he kept saying to me, like, I can't believe little Jamie is like you're playing Diane and you have kids and you're a realtor. And he was just sort of tripping out about what that looked like and couldn't really wrap his mind around it. And it was cool to get to talk to him and ask him questions about like, hey, what was I like when I was a kid on set? And what was that? How did that feel? And am I different now? Isn't it like, what's the differences? What's the similarities? And I also wanted to know what Donald Pleasance was like to direct, because these are questions I can only really ask him as an adult now.
Yes.
And he's great. And then Jason James Richter, producer and also in it. And Jason and I did Free Willy together, and then Dwight met Sandy, our other producer, and now Dwight's wife and Jason's mom on the set of Free Willy 2. So it's just kind of a weird, funny little thing. And he's just great. He still feels like dad to me
Yeah.
in a sort of way, very comforting and loving and safe and smart, and I still feel like a little girl around him no matter how old I am. I still feel like I just want to make him so proud of me. So I was really happy to be a part of this.
That's amazing. And
And did you was there?
keep going, Ben.
Oh, so was there a point where you turned to him when you're like looking at all the other kids acting in this film and going, "I was better than these guys when I was like 12."
No, they were, they were so good. They had it easy compared to what he put me through. That's for sure. Um, but I mean, I am protective. I didn't really get to see the kids. I wasn't part of any of the kids stuff. I mean, I was part of the kid, not part of like the scary stuff or the big dramatic stuff as much. But I'm protective over kid actors, especially in horror movies, and I'm just now playing a mom where I get to be on set with some littler ones that I want to kind of take under my wing and make sure they're really happy doing what they want to do, and they don't have crazy moms and they really want to be there. And so yeah, it was definitely a full circle moment for me, that's for sure.
Do do you find that now, thanks to the internet and that kind of thing, that the the kids are actually much more aware of the fact that it is a horror film, and that, you know, the scary stuff isn't real, like, or when you
Probably.
were,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
I think it also depends on how much their kids are, the kids are sheltered by their parents from that stuff. But there's definitely, kids have way more access to things that are probably less, it's less scary, one would hope. I don't know. I mean, my kids are 6 and 8, and they're still scared of everything, and they still, run to turn the light on and jump back in bed, as though I literally had to say to Carter, my 8-year-old, last night, I said, there's nothing under your bed. You actually don't have, it's like a platform bed. There's no way for anything to get under the bed. And I am literally sitting here with you, and like I'm 10 feet from you. So you don't have to jump into the bed as though something's going to grab you. So I mean, it's possible they're way more mature than we were, but I think that there are things that just are innately still scary for a kid,
Yeah.
regardless.
And I mean, we have all seen Halloween. It's the wardrobe that you've got to watch out for, not the bed.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. That's true.
So I'm wondering. I've loved Dwight Little for ages. Like, he's a fantastic filmmaker. But what is he like as an older man directing compared with when he was a younger man? Is there much
I
difference?
think he's the same. No, I mean, he's still got this like very light spirit and an ease about him. He doesn't ever have to do anything 100 times. He does, it's almost like, hey, Dwight, you sure you have it? I mean, it's, maybe just one more for safety, and we're good. We move on. So the vibe is very different. I haven't done a horror movie. It just came to me. I've not done a horror movie where it was someone that was trained on film, using film. Everyone that I've worked with over the last 2 decades, really, that's directed me in horror, it's all been, aside from Rob Zombie, who didn't start, it's all been these cameras, where you can do things 100 times, and you let the camera roll and make mistakes, and there's less preparation that comes nowadays, unfortunately. More like roll the dice and see what happens on set, and we can just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Where Dwight is so old school with knowing what he wants and coming to set ready for it, that I haven't experienced that in so long, and it was so nice to not have to do something, I guess, 500 times in these really emotional, high intense scenes where it can be very exhausting and daunting at the end of the day. And so he's kind of the same. I mean, he directs like exactly how I remember him directing, with sort of kid gloves in a certain way. And he definitely is sassier and has more of a naughtiness maybe than he showed around me when I was a kid. But it's the same. So it was kind of cool to have that mentality, even though we weren't directing on film, if that makes any sense.
It does. Have you been like in close proximity to him over the years? Have you been in touch with your family, friends?
He's cast a couple. He's directed a couple of TV things, from Dusk Till Dawn, a couple times, and I've auditioned for those shows, and I've called him, and when I've seen on the breakdown, like, hey, anything horror, I always look and see like who's directing, who's producing, in case I could email someone like, hey, gonna go in for this, just put in a good word for me, director man.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get lucky, and sometimes it goes, I don't really know necessarily when you're, for television anyway, when you're directing, how much say you necessarily have in the casting process anymore, where it used to be a bit of a different story. But in film, especially this one, since it was self-financed, I think he had all of the say. But I kept in touch with him a little bit here and there, and hey, I'm going in from Dusk Till Dawn, and put in a good word, or I would message him after and say, okay, well, I fucking bombed that, so I don't even want you to watch that tape. That was horrible. I don't know what I did. I tried Dwight, it just didn't work for me. But I was always kind of trying to find things, if I saw his name pop up, to be able to work together over the years. And we did Marked for Death together, the Steven Seagal film, right after we did Halloween, and because Halloween was his first film and my first film, and he said to me very seriously one day, I remember him saying to me, if I ever have anything that I could bring you in on, we're gonna work together again. And I believed it, because it's my first movie, and then you get older and you go, oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Like, nobody ever follows through with what they say, and you rarely get to work with anybody again, or even stay friends. And he did. He, as soon as Mark for Death came up, he called and was like, this is yours. I want you to do this. And so it was cool that he did it this time. And we talk, even after that, we've talked a lot about the idea of like what would another Halloween movie look like together, and if we ever did another Halloween, if we ever got the chance in this universe that they're creating to come back. And Alan as well, we've talked with him. Like, I had this crazy idea during COVID, which I reached out to him saying like, hey, what if we got together and like we shot something, we created the story of where Jamie would be now, and you directed it and I starred in it and Alan wrote it, and we made it what it could have been if Halloween 5 had gone a different way. And what do you think if we did that and then just like gave it to Malik and said, hey, look, we want to do this, would you ever think about doing this? And we didn't end up doing it, but I hadn't known until I read Dwight's book, actually, which I have sitting here, still rolling. I didn't really know about the process of casting me and Ellie, and how he came about as a director to getting that project, and what an influence or what a strong support Mustafa Akkad was in his process, and how that dynamic doesn't really happen as much anymore with producers and directors, and it's usually a business transaction and Instagram followers and a whole bunch of other stuff that should be irrelevant to filmmaking nowadays. But it was really cool to see that, and to still have that. We still have that like old school way of thinking about making movies together. So it's nice to have that relationship still.
Yeah, 100%. Firstly, I had no idea that Dwight had written a book, so I reckon I'm gonna have to hunt that down and
yes,
read
and
it.
here I have. I'll show you. Hold on, I have it literally sitting right here.
Mike
It's
Myers
called.
in the background.
Yeah, it's called Still Roll. Oh, did you see Michael
Rolling.
Myers, the head? Oh, wait. It's funny only because the body, he's usually in the corner, but I had hand surgery this last week, and I was moving and the mannequin broke, and maybe that's why my kid runs into his bed every morning. Or at night when the lights are off. I didn't even think about that. My office is next door to his bedroom. That's why he bolts down the hallway. But it broke, so I haven't been able to put it up. And I had my housekeeper here day before yesterday and helping with stuff, and I didn't realize that she just put the head right there on my I was doing my taxes, so
Yeah.
he's on the little kind of creepily sitting over there behind me. But yeah, this is Dwight's book, Still Rolling Inside the Hollywood Dream Factory, and
Amazing.
he sent this to me. And let's see, what did he write? He wrote something in here, and it was funny because I had Ellie Cornell on my podcast, Talk Scary to Me, that I host with Scout Compton, who's in the other Rob Zombie's Halloweens with me, and
Yeah.
and I had Ellie on, and they were talking about Dwight in the book, and I read to her on the air what he wrote to me, and she was funny. She's like, "That's funny. He said the same thing to me," but it wasn't true. He said to me, "To Danielle, my first and most important leading lady, my forever Jamie, with love, your pal Dwight." And he talks about it, and has to me personally, about how he gauges film based on the relationships, and that he always has a baseline of the Jamie and Rachel characters, and how their relationship with one another and their connection is what really resonated with fans and with the audience and with people, that it didn't become about Michael Myers. It became about these two girls, these sisters, and I think that's a really good kind of good thing to have in your mind when you're directing and you're writing, and it's about the relationships. And I think that's why I've been able to have a career as long as I have, because I think people kind of felt that. And then if I look at my fan base, it's all kind of our age.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I'm right about your age, and it's like we all grew up together, and
Yep.
maybe it's the first movie that you saw that you weren't allowed to see, and you resonated with her, and you were like, oh my God, if that could happen to her, it could happen to me, and this is fun and scary. And then we grew up together, and there was a sister feeling, or a crush feeling maybe, or something that gets stirred up in kids, boys primarily, right around that age. So it's been it's what started my career, and has kept me,
Yeah.
thank God, still working and surviving the child actor curse.
I also can't think of any slasher movie of that era where they've got a kid as the lead. Like, it's really unique.
No, I mean, maybe Poltergeist-ish, but she wasn't really it really wasn't her. It was her movie, but it wasn't her
Yeah, she wasn't kicking
movie.
ass.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't kicking ass. I mean, it's weird. I have watched. I've as I've gotten older now that I have kids, I've taken time to really watch these movies, and it's my nephew's 10, and it's crazy to think that at that age that I was able to go there and do those things, and I don't know if I could do. I don't know if I could access that now
Hmm.
as an adult. But there's something kind of pretty pretty remarkably amazing and horrifically fucking weird that was there at such a young age as a kid. But yeah, I don't think there really was much. I think there was much. I mean, it started, Pet Cemetery, and there were a couple little things that there were featured kids, but it was mostly teenagers
Mm. Yeah,
and
that's right.
and older.
Yeah. So,
So
so
interesting.
speaking of your fan base, and I think I know the answer to this question, but you do a lot of conventions and things like that. What's the film you get asked about the most?
Halloween 4. I mean, it all started from Halloween. It's always Halloween,
Dumb
no matter what I
question.
do. Yeah, always Halloween. It's always the same questions, which is why we started the podcast, because Scout and I were like, I just would love for everybody to know who we are. And you guys have the show, I mean, it's we get asked the same things most of the time.
Hmm.
So it's nice to have a platform where we could have different conversations at conventions.
Hmm.
People feel like, with the start of COVID, when we started the show and we started just talking about stuff, regular stuff, it was a way for us to allow the fans into our lives and to get to know us on a different level so we could have better conversations at shows. So people didn't just come up to us and say, the questions are always, were you scared? How old were you? What was Donald Pleasance like? Do you have nightmares? Did you know about Halloween? Did you know it was going to be so big?
Yeah.
What did your parents think of it? And then it goes to, what was Rob Zombie like? Or did Rob Rob Cat go after you, knowing, wanting you in the movie? And then I go through the story. Or why weren't you in Halloween 6? It's the same stuff. So it's cool to have this other thing where we could talk about real life things that actually matter and give somebody the okay to come and ask more personal stuff, or things that are more interesting for us to talk about at shows anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Rob Zombie was the first guest we had on this show, and it's
Oh
probably
my God,
probably
wow.
the only moment that I've been really starstruck. Like, it was
I can't get Rob to come on our damn show. I'm like, how many times I have to call you? He won't come on the show. So that is awesome. That's great. How was he on the show?
Yeah.
He's quirky,
he's
He's
quirky.
a little.
He's very, but he was very down to earth. Like, he was.
Yeah.
It was to promote Three from Hell, so he was just
Got it.
in the mood to chat and
Doing his thing, yeah.
And Ben works for a film festival that premiered it, so it was just the right time.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
What festival do you work for, and when is it? Because I just directed another feature, and we're just about to. I'm going to go next week actually and look at the first cut, and we're starting to do our submissions. And I've yet to come over to Australia.
Well, it's Monster Fest. Is this Last Chance Motel that you're talking about? Because I did want to ask you about this.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's Monster Fest. So we're in October, kind of October, November every year in Melbourne, and actually, well, the rest
All
of
around the
Australia.
country,
We
yeah.
kind of we do it everywhere, but the main festival is in Melbourne. So yeah, look, we definitely would love to. Would love to screen
Yeah,
it if
because
it's
I'm gonna
ready.
be. I'm not great with geography, but I have a feeling that Ireland is the exact opposite. It's not the same direction that I would be going, but I'm gonna be over at least in the UK. But I think I'm in the wrong part of the world.
Yeah, no matter where you are,
Um,
it's a long fucking way away.
I have a ton of.
Yeah,
We have
that-
actually very, very close friends that are over in Sydney, and they make their way over here often. We've met them in Hawaii, and they love coming to California. So they're really good friends and clients of my husband. So we keep in touch with them all the time. But I've only been offered one convention appearance to come over, and it was years and years and years and years ago. And I think it was in Sydney, Perth, and maybe
Was that like
Brisbane.
Supernova?
Yeah, it was
That was-
Supernova, exactly. Which I
Supernova.
don't really
Yeah.
do. I mean, this is, God, I was like 32, 33. I mean, this is a long time ago. And then I think they actually, but it's 2 weeks you have to be there because they want you to go from one weekend to the other
Yes,
weekend.
yes,
And
that's
of
right.
course I could do that when I'm in my 30s without having children. And then I haven't been able to for the last decade. So, but I still want to get over, but there's not a lot of horror
No.
conventions over there. Really, are there or no?
There's no
No.
horror. There used to be. There was one. This guy Steve Dillon
Oz
started one.
Horicon. Oz
He
Horicon.
he called it was called Steve Dillon's Oz Horicon,
Yeah.
Oh
and
God.
Everyone was like, "Who's
and it
Steve
was really
Dillon?"
just it was all about Steve Dillon.
Oh
So
God. You should be an actor. Oh God. Wow. Well, I
uh,
would love to. This is definitely something that it's on my list, and the kids talk about it all the time. But it's having the money to fly four people. I can't. I have to lie down. So it's like,
yeah,
where can I get $40,000 to fly over
Yeah,
Australia?
it's not cheap.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah, yeah. And that's look, Supernova is a really good option for that because Supernova do bring over they bring over a lot of guests and they bring over
Yes.
we haven't done it for a while because since COVID and stuff we haven't been able to bring out guests, although we're looking at doing it again in the near future. But Supernova, because they do the 2 weeks, but they've just got such a massive, like, we're a horror film festival, so our draw is pretty niche here. Like there's
Right.
not
Right.
it's not that huge of a thing. Like, and because we're at Halloween, we always are around Halloween. So getting guests who don't have much
It's really
bigger
hard. Right.
commitments, you know, they're like,
I
well, I'm
mean,
not gonna.
any foreign show appearance is really hard for us, solely because, for everybody listening and that don't understand how this kind of works, when you do a convention in the States, you have your guarantee, okay, I'm gonna go to New York, it's gonna be a 5 hour flight, and I know this is the guarantee of X amount of dollars that I'll make for those 3 days, and I'm gonna be on the floor from this time to this time, and you're like, cool, you figure it out. When you go overseas, it costs so much to bring you that they
Mm,
take such a giant chunk of your proceeds, essentially, aside from the tickets that they're selling. The split is so huge that you end up walking away with half of what you would end up making doing a show 2 or 3 hours from you. So I always love to do it if I'm going to make a vacation out of it. It's like,
Yeah.
cool, I'm not making any money, I'm going to come for vacation, and I'm going to spend whatever money I make there on shit that I'm going to do when I'm there, and then I'm going to come back and it'll be fine. But it gets me at least gets me there. So now that my kids are of age where they might be able to fly, I may have to break it up,
Yeah.
and a little bit, and
yeah.
stay somewhere for 3 or 4 days. I mean, anything, they haven't been on a flight longer than 3 hours,
Yeah.
so I might want to kill
Well,
them.
the beauty
So
of the
we'll,
beauty
we'll
of
see.
Hawaii is that it is right in the middle.
Yes, that's right.
I think
Right,
it's
right. I mean,
it's
and
six
now you know
5 or
what
6 hours.
my it's actually not that bad. I didn't really think about it. That's probably why we've met there. My in-laws had a house there, and so I got married in Hawaii, and I used to go once every 2 months or so, and then we don't have a relationship with them anymore, so they don't have the house either. So it makes it a little bit more. And now that I live in Texas, it ends up being a 10-hour trip instead of hopping on a plane and
Yeah.
going direct on United and just chilling at the house for free. So, but the kids do want to go back to Hawaii, so I think that will be something that at least I could make it. I'm cool with stopping in Hawaii for, a week and then heading over to Australia. Sounds good to
Well, if
me.
you ever get down to Melbourne, you can have a bit of a reunion with a friend of ours, Jamie Blanks, who yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love Jamie. He came when they did the re-release, I guess, or of Urban Legend. He came to LA a couple years ago, and we got to catch up, and we've chatted on email and stuff as well. I didn't realize he was so young when he did Urban Legend and big studio movie, and being given all like that doesn't happen anymore. So
No.
I'm glad that I was able to be part of that. But I love Jamie. He's great.
He is responsible for a lot of teen jealousy because he appeared on, I think it was Hey Hey It's Saturday, which was a kind of a variety show when he did that trailer for Scream and got Urban Legend, and
Mm,
we were just all of us, of an age, are going, he's just taken the only opportunity we ever would have had of
bastard.
You
bursting
son of a
into it, and
bitch.
this guy's just done it.
Yes, 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 totally, totally. I'm so glad it was a good experience for him, though. That could have gone a different way. It could have gone the way Rob Zombie's went, which would have been really horrible and probably broken him being so young and such a fan and so excited to be given that, to have have had to deal with that would have been. I'm glad that he did a studio film that
Yeah.
he really was respected and listened to and appreciated and had a really good time. They kept him wanting to stay in the business.
For sure. And it allowed him to come back here and make an amazing slasher film called Storm Warning. I don't know if you've seen
Oh, I
Storm
haven't
Warning.
seen that.
It's fantastic. So, yeah, put that
You
on
know
your
what I
list.
need to do? I need to call him and tell him that I am willing to come to Australia to work for nothing if he will just bring me to Australia to do a horror movie, and then I can just knock all of those bucket list things off.
I was going to say we did it. A friend of ours, Lee Gambon, who I'm not sure if you've ever had anything to do with. He was, unfortunately, he passed away not too long ago, but he was a big kind of connector of people. He's written books on biohorror and
Cujo and
all
things
sorts
like
of
that.
stuff,
Yeah.
and Cujo. And
Yeah,
he's a
his
big
name
kind of
sounds really
Stephen King.
familiar
He
to
used to
me.
write for Fangoria.
And
Yeah.
He used to
What's his
write
last
for
name?
Fangoria
Lee.
and
What's his last name?
Gambon.
Gambin.
Gambon, yeah. He
Lee
but
Gambin.
he was he's good friends with Dee Wallace, and
Okay.
he got her out here to do some stuff, and at the same time he got her they were making a movie in Sydney, and he was like, oh well, she you can come out here and do the conventions in Melbourne where he lives, and then you can go to Sydney and be in this movie, and then you can go up to Queensland for this other convention. He organised this whole
Great.
massive tour for it to make it
That's the way to
all,
do it.
you know,
You
to
come
make
that
it
far, you know.
Was that
yeah, that's right. If you're going to fly 14 hours, then
You're gonna do
you know.
something.
was
My
that was that
I
movie? Sorry, was that movie Red Christmas, Ben?
Yeah, Red Christmas. Yeah,
Fucking love this
There
story.
was
that
one-
was
there
all. That
was
was all Lee
one-
putting it all together.
there was one movie that shot in Australia. I think Kane Hodder did it. It took place on a farm.
Charlie's Farm.
Charlie's Farm.
Charlie's Farm.
With Tara Reid,
Yes.
yeah.
The
So-
company I work for, we released that film.
Yeah.
We released Charlie's
Interesting.
Farm, and we released your film, Among Friends.
Oh, who knew?
Yeah, well,
That's
yeah.
so crazy. So Charlie's Farm, I wanted to do that movie, and I read the script, and what happened is they didn't tell me which character. So I
Right.
assumed reading it that I was going to be Tara's character. I don't know if you know, but Tara Reid was my roommate years ago, and we on and off again friendship, and I was Tara's first friend when she moved to LA, and I just didn't want to. I wanted her role.
Yeah.
So when I had said I want to do this, and they were like, "Oh," and we started talking. I was like, "Whoa, wait! You want me for that role? I'm not right for the." It was the friend who was
The
like
friend,
more of
yeah.
like the cheerleadery.
Mhm.
I'm like, wait, but that's more Tara. I'm the lead. This other character is way more my speed. How could you cast Tara as her and me in the other
Yeah.
role? And I don't really want to work with Tara. So no, I don't want to do it. So I ended up, passing on it. But I really wanted to come out. And John Jarrett, I did a movie with John, called Shiver. I believe he's Aussie too, right?
Yeah,
love,
for sure.
He is
love.
indeed, yeah.
He's as
Once
Aussie as they
Reagan.
come.
I just love. Yeah, I love him. Love him.
He's
Love
so
him.
Aussie, he's almost handicapped by it.
Yeah, maybe. Oh my God, that's funny. I love him. So that was he's great. So I still there's something maybe something will happen out of
For
this.
sure, for sure. Look, we won't hold you up too much longer. I've got two more questions for you.
Yeah,
The
sure.
first one is that you've been in so many movies that we love, and Ben and I probably reference on our show quite a lot. But the one pressing question for you is, do you have any amazing Steven Seagal stories?
Oh God. So yes. But not but not when I was young, not when I was working with him. When I got older, that's so interesting. I do talk about it. I'm writing a book right now, so
Okay.
this will come up in my book, and I think I've referenced this on my podcast, so it's not like it's the first time. But I got a call. I think I was my late 20s, maybe early 30s. Got a call that they were auditioning girls for a new untitled Steven Seagal film, and that there was no script available, but there was a couple different female characters, and the producers and Steven really wanted to see the women in the room before they would decide which role you would be right to read for. So all I knew is that the character was a prostitute and heroin addict prostitute. So, wrong side of the tracks.
Mhm.
So I went as the actor that I am and looked like shit and, makeup from the night before and dirty, greasy hair and was ready to go. And I went to Sunset Gower and there was a room full of non-actors, of very beautiful women, probably mostly models. And casting came out and said, okay, we're going to take, 3 or 4 of you up at a time, and you're going to go into the room, and after the one girl comes out, you're going to go in, and you're going to just do it like this. And then they'll see you, and, we would call you back to read for certain roles. And I thought, this is so weird. I've never in my whole career had anything happen like this. And I, went in, and he was sitting there at the end of the room with in a big chair with his German Shepherd and leash wrapped around his wrist, and the Shepherd was at his side, and then there were these 2 or 3 producers along the couch, and it was definitely did not feel like I was auditioning for a movie. It was the first time that I felt like, oh my God, this is like a casting couch situation. This is I'm what is happening here? And I felt super weirded out. And Stephen said, I'm Stephen, and nice to meet you. And kind of had a moment. And I said, I actually know you. I was in a movie with you when I was a kid called Marked for Death, where I played your niece, and his whole demeanor changed, and he was like, oh my God, yeah, wow, you're not the same little girl that I held in my arms all those years ago. Now are you? And I was like, nope, no, I'm not that little girl. And he kind of looked over at the producers, and they had this moment of like, yeah, I don't want to, she's not one of those girls. We're not going to be bringing her back to read lines with me in my hotel kind of vibe. She's not one to do that with. So I'm not sure there was actually a movie being cast. It might have been like a dating sort of thing. Is
Like
what
that
it felt
movie
like to
Audition.
me. It was really, really, really weird, and I'd never had that experience before. Needless to say, I didn't get a call back. Because I don't think I would have been, the girl to go run lines with him back in his room or whatever they were doing. But that was the only time that I really have, he was fine on set, and I went to his trailer and he showed me all his like throwing stars and the swords that he had on his wall and like all kinds of weird, quirky things. And he's just kind of crazy, I think.
Yeah.
He's just a little bit, crazy. Again, he was totally respectful of me, and I didn't have any issue with him. And so that was kind of my experience, was this strange. I mean, he's been known about town. I'm sure you've heard too, kind of crazy stories about with stunt guys and him sort of testing waters of throwing actual punches and like kind of doing things just to kind of see what he can get away with. And that's crazy. So,
That seems to be a lot. That's the Van Damme story as well. The one where he would
God.
he would kick a stuntman in the face and go, no, it was a controlled kick.
Oh my God, what is wrong with people?
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth
No.
is like he kicked him in the chest and he's like, that was a control kick.
No. You don't do that. But there are a lot of those actors of that generation that have a little bit of screw loose. Anyone that wants to get in this business, like, you're signing up for the circus, I mean, you really are just a traveling circus. So, and I think a lot of men that get involved in the business, any man that is like vain enough to want to be on camera is always a little bit odd to me. Actors are, it's always the actors that like want another take or have a good side, or, you're always like, dude, I haven't been in makeup as long as you have, and you're a dude. So it's interesting. And then women actresses are also fucked up, and they come in and they're the ones that like are numb in real life, and then they use the stage to be able to feel stuff or have like tortured childhoods, or it's all crazy. But that's what filmmaking is, right?
I did have this. I had a story. I won't mention names, but I did have a chat to a filmmaker who said in his first film he had an actor who was his. It was also this actor's first film, and he'd come over from the stage, and it was this big dramatic scene in the film, and it was he was supposed to react in like pain, or he's supposed to. I don't know what his reaction was supposed to be, but he's like, "I'm not feeling it. So what I want you to do is get a stick, put a thumbtack at the end of it, and when I'm supposed to, display the emotion, you jab me with the stick." That was his.
No. Oh my God, really?
This guy has gone on. He's had a huge career. Like he has had a. He's like is rarely the lead, but he's like a pretty big kind of supporting actor. Been in some big movies.
So Ben
And
Kingsley,
every time I
everyone.
see him, I just think, is there someone off camera poking you with a stick right now?
No.
Act monkey.
I
Act.
mean, I have to say there is something to be said for like being the final girl or the woman that's getting handled. John Jarrett, great example. I don't know if you saw Shiver, but it's one of my, for me, I think it's one of my best performances, and I wanted to work with him so badly, so I was so happy that he was on board. But I get kidnapped and held hostage in this like makeshift shack home. He's a serial killer, and he has to rape me, or attempt to have sex with me, and I'm tied up and bound, and the character is violent with me because he can't get an erection to do what he wants to do to me, and it was a very, very intense emotional scene, and he's got daughters, and it was really hard for him to go there with me. Those are the roles that we live for as actors.
Yeah.
But once you get there, it's really hard to do it. And for me, I wanted him to grab at me and pull at my clothes, and everyone's always afraid to like, I watch movies and you watch movies and you're like, he's not really like, I want them to be a little more rough, a little more physical, a little more, I don't want to see the hand lightly on the throat and I'm pretending to be strangled. Give me a little bit of pressure so I can actually feel what it feels
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
something to get me there. But it's hard to convince another actor to, because the one time they do go there, you're like, whoa, 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 that was too much, and then you're like, and it's scary. But you need a little something. But I've never had
Has that
anybody ask me
has
to
that
poke them.
changed? Has that changed now that they have intimacy coordinators and stuff, so you actually have those discussions before you go into those scenes where you say,
So I've
"Is it
yet to
okay?
be
This
on
isn't
set
okay."
with. I haven't been on set with an intimacy coordinator yet, but I did do a movie with Scout directed recently, actually, that should be out probably by the end of the year, called oh my God, she's gonna kill me that I'm blanking on the name. She talks about it all the time. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart right now. Anyway,
Bring the
where
law.
I have yes,
Flesh?
Bringing the Law. Jesus
Bring the
Christ.
Law.
It was called Bringing the Law, then Bring the Law. It's BTL. She's mentioned BTL so much that I forgot what the actual title of the movie is. So when we did BTL, I have this scene where we're starting to kiss, and then we roll back onto the bed. And everybody, and I have no, and then the next scene we were doing, I'm in the bed, but I'm covered with a sheet. I'm like, I don't. For me, I feel like it makes it more uncomfortable to have an intimacy coordinator because it makes it a bigger deal than it has to be. I don't need to be. I don't need everybody to leave the room and be covered up and like, no, I don't need you gawking at me, but like, I don't make it uncomfortable for everybody. So I think having that on set almost is a hindrance. But then Scout had said, she's like, well, but what if other people are uncomfortable?
Yeah.
It's not only for you, it's for the crew as well to feel like it's safe. So I've only really done like love scenes or sex scenes with people that were really cool and easy to work with, and I felt safe. So I haven't had that experience. I have many girlfriends who have had other experiences where, and actually one of the actresses from Rob Zombie's Halloween is an intimacy coordinator now in real life, who played Michael's sister who gets killed at the very beginning, Hannah Hall. She's an intimacy coordinator, she's like, it's great. I just tell people like, you can do this, you can't do that. Because most directors are men,
Yeah.
and most directors are scared to tell to tell you what to do in those scenes. They're just kind of like, you guys just sort of do your thing, and I'm gonna be like over here hiding in the corner because I'm uncomfortable and embarrassed, and it's
I was
weird.
going to say, chances are they don't know. Like
They have no idea.
you're just figuring it out when you're like, in
They
the
have
moment.
no
You're
idea.
like, well, I know what I do.
Yeah, exactly. So
There's
they're like,
never a woman involved.
Yeah.
No. That's funny. I mean, Rob Zombie, and like in that scene, it was, you definitely want to close set, and mostly it's because there definitely can be, I mean, there have been times where I've had those scenes and suddenly the studio wants to show up. I won't name names, but it might have been someone who's in jail right now for doing stuff like this. Happens to show up on a day where there's something going on that they really want to see, and thank goodness you have directors that say absolutely not. Get the fuck out. That's not happening here, which is kind of what has happened. But I remember my boyfriend at the time during that love scene in Rob Zombie's. It was the first time I was ever, first and only time I've ever been topless in a movie. And my boyfriend at the time said, and I was 30, and the guy I was working with was 18. So he was freaked out. And I thought he was super cute, and I was like, oh, I could totally, like, this guy's gonna not know what to fucking do with himself, which is a great position to be in. And it's very comfortable for me to be in that position. But my boyfriend was like, dude, you need to go for it. Like, I want you. Like, don't hold back with her. Like, go for it, It's like, this is so weird. You can't tell this kid. Like, my, 38-year-old boyfriend's, like, telling this 18-year-old to, like, really get excited about his girlfriend, like, grinding on him. So, but Rob definitely hit in the corner and was like, you guys just, whatever you're comfortable with, and usually it's, thank goodness I'm fairly open, so I can say, you can do this, do that, do this, or that, let's not go there. But I haven't been with an actor that's taken it too far. Thank God. Knock on wood.
I remember Samuel L. Jackson on a talk show once, said that when he does the love scene, he goes, at first you have to say, look, I'm sorry for anything that happens, and I'm sorry for anything that doesn't happen. Yeah,
exactly. That's usually the go-to. Like, I'm sorry if I get excited, and I'm sorry if I don't get excited. It's not you. And I'm like, it's all good. And let me tell you something. Every single time they get excited, no matter what, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If kissing, no. But if there's any other physical, like, touch or actual contact within the region of even like sitting on a lap, oh yeah. I did a series with Kevin Dillon for CBS, and it was a family show called That's Life. It was a show on years ago with Paul Sorvino and Ellen Burstyn and Debbie Mazar, and I was playing his wife, and CBS had to say to him and me, you guys cannot, like, Kevin, you cannot kiss her like that on camera, because it looks like you're eating her face. Like, it is so inappropriate. And he would, we had so many love scenes, and it was TV, but you're still doing it. And we'd be done with the scene, and he would be like, do not get up. If you do, can you just walk in front of me out to the car, out to the train? I'd be like, yeah, stupid. You're so stupid. What's the matter with you? Like, come on, Kevin, knock it off.
I'll be in my trailer for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I just need like a minute. Thank God I'm a girl. I don't have that. Because nothing ever stays. These pouches and all these things. Like, you're sweating and it comes off, and you're like, this is more work than just cover me, and whatever. So, did you think our interview about Natty Knocks was going to quite go this direction?
I was about to
Probably
say,
not,
I
right?
had no idea we'd be going in this direction, but look, we won't hold you up.
I thought maybe we talk about Last Boy Scout a bit, but that's
Oh yes.
I feel like we could talk for hours, but look, we'll let you run. Thank you so much for making time for us. This has been an absolute blast.
Of course. Thanks for having me. And everybody out there listening, I did not get to promote Natty Knocks because it was during the freaking strike. So unfortunately, I could do no promotion for this movie that I was so proud of, and really am excited to have everybody see it. And thank you for distributing us to that side of the world. And I hope everybody enjoys the reunion and getting to see. I mean, God, you've got Robert Englund and myself and Bill Moseley in it. You kind of can't go wrong with that dynamic.
The key sell in that is that is at some point in the film, not giving anything away, you're dressed up as a nurse and you destroy Bill Moseley's junk.
Have you had Bill on the show?
No, would love to.
Oh,
No.
you should have him on. He's so quirky and lovely, and he's just great, and he's so funny. And I'll end it with this. We have the I think it was the scene where I think I'm running up the stairs after the fire, the stuff that goes on in the basement, and I scream when I run into somebody. I remember Dwight saying, like, we have to solve it. Like, there needs to be something bigger here in the moment where we meet each other for the first time, the kids and myself and all that. And I was like, because it wasn't in the script. And I was like, I got it. I was like, I know it's a good time for like a jump scare. So I'm just going to scream right when I hit them and just see what happens. I'm not going to tell anybody. And Bill was there, and he heard it, and we cut, and he came up and he was like, that is the most amazing scream that I have ever heard in my life. And I was like, shut up. What are you talking about? What do you mean? You worked with everybody. Like, you've heard how many thousands of people have you heard scream in your career? And he's like, not like that. Not like that. And if you ever have him on the show, or you ever hear him talk about Natty Knocks or me, which we are friends, he will say that there is no one better at that than me, which is, for me, it was like, as a big compliment. When Ellen Burstyn told me when I did That's Life, and she said, I watched the show I watched your episode last night, and you did a really good job. My son and I watched it, and you were fantastic. And I thought, oh my God, it doesn't get any better than someone like Ellen Burstyn telling you that you are a fantastic actress, and doesn't give out compliments easily. So for Bill Moseley to tell me that I have the best scream he's ever heard, go watch Natty Knocks.
A town knows its secrets. Town knows how to hide them too.
She sleeps with the worms under the ground.
Use that outside. Don't make a sound.
Natty knocks 9 times.
Natty knocks 9 times. Don't answer your door. Close all your blinds. Hide under your bed.
Or she'll take off your head.
I thought that was just an old ghost story.
Where do you think those stories come from?
I don't know. Maybe she's still alive.
We have to tell someone. We should call the cops.
What the hell is going on here?
Help, coming!
You can't be. What are you doing here?
Burn the witch! Burn the witch!